Well, a human rights watchdog supports the employment of foreigners into our job sector. Amnesty International says some of the biggest concerns that the economy has are growth because they absorb skilled foreigners into the workforce. For more on this, we're joined by Shenilla Mohamed. She's the Executive Director of Amnesty International South Africa. Thanks so much for joining us, Shenilla. Amnesty International last month called on political leaders to stop blaming foreigners for the country's unemployment problem. Why is it so vital that South Africa absorbs foreign skilled labour?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. Well, you know, our call was for politicians and for high-ranking officials to stop blaming foreigners on the country's economic and political woes, because, first of all, that is untrue. But secondly, any country that is trying to grow and trying to develop its economy has to have, skilled people coming from all over the world. And so, you know, what we were saying is that this issue of saying that there would be a job reservation was going to really be detrimental to the country's own economy. And we're really glad that President Cyril Ramaphosa last night did not do that, because that would not augur well for the economy. And, you know, it's important to have an economy where skills are allowed to come in and foreigners are allowed to play a part as well in the growth of the country.
Shenilla, what were some of the reforms that you are looking forward to in terms of last night's announcement?
Well, first of all, I have to say we were disappointed. Okay, we were disappointed by the fact that the president seems to be very out of touch with what is happening on the ground, that he had a very high-level speech, that the speech did not tackle, the issues that are critical and that are really important to the people. So, for example, unemployment, we know that it is a massive problem. And yes, and now what they've done is they've just handed the package of problems over to the private sector. But, you know, when the state was supposed to be responsible for it, we didn't see much happening around that. And yes, you can argue COVID came in, etc., but there wasn't really a plan to develop that. And now the responsibility has been shifted. GBV, I mean, last year, the president announced something like 12 billion that was supposed to go to GBV. And we have been monitoring what has been going on. And to be honest, in the first year of implementation of the national plan, very few of those targets have been met. So, you know, yes, you've signed some new laws in that are going to increase, the way in which the National Prosecuting Authority, etc., operates. But the reality is that you have done nothing to change the situation for women on the ground who are still being murdered on a daily basis brutally. And the country is still one of the unsafest countries in the world for women. So again, you know, there's been a lot of talk, but the problem has been that a lot of what the president said last night, he has said before. What we were calling on was for concrete action plans to show us that, you know, they are going to deliver this year. And I think one of the biggest concerns we've had is a lack of accountability. So, you know, we saw 300 people die in the riots, and yet the president is still pushing this forward to June to come up with a plan. I mean, the high-level report was very clear about accountability. And look, you know, it's all very well to be the nice person and say, listen, we're sorry, we take responsibility. It's not good enough. What are you doing to make the situation better and to hold those who have been responsible for dereliction of duty and for, the deaths that have taken place under your watch? What are you doing to hold them to account? We did not see that. So we are very disappointed in what the president came out with last night.
Although, Shenilla, to be fair, he did take accountability for the fact that Cabinet had to take some responsibility for the June-July unrest. Just in terms of GBV, his comment was it needs a society to be changing and we all need to be on board in order for us to shift femicide, gender-based violence norms in South Africa. How much can he actually do to make those kind of changes?
Well, first of all, he can make sure that the National Prosecuting Authority is doing a good job, not only in prosecuting cases, but also in ensuring that the police are doing their job at the point of the incidents in gathering the forensic evidence. Now, in our analysis, what we've seen is one of the problems lies at the point where the police are either unskilled or are not really that competent in gathering the evidence when crimes happen. And yes, we have seen some some prosecutions. But again, yes, it's great that the backlog of DNA has dropped from 120,000 in April last year to about 58,000. But the reality is that we need to see more prosecutions. We need to see much more deterrent actions taking place. And look, yes, society needs to change. And I think society has indicated, and they are trying. I mean, women went out into the street for that reason, that, we are willing to join hands with the state and do whatever needs to be done. But I don't think the state is coming to the table adequately. I mean, I think that, given the crisis that faces women in this country, what has been done so far is not enough. So, again, we need to see more action. We need to see the plan that was put into place being delivered. We need to see that with all the plans that have been put into place. I mean, a lot of the plans that the president talked about, he talked about last year. What we are not seeing is implementation.